This panel will feature readings by poets from all over the country. We Are the World, featuring Anshuman Kar, Anuradha Nalapat, Avrina Prabhala Jocelyn, Sunanda Mehta, and Swami Antar Nirav. Welcome to all of you.
Welcome. We are going to ride that musical wave. I'm going to just lead you from one poet to the other, and I will also be reading amongst them. I'm Avrina Prabhala Jocelyn. I'm going to read a poem in Tamil and in English as well. But today we are going to start off with Anshuman Kaur. He's going to be reading some of his translations in English, but he writes in Bengali. And with him, we are going to start off with this experience of sounds of poetry. Thank you, sir. Do you want to?
Difficult to do anything, after Ila Arun. So it's absolutely unfair to all of us to put us in this panel. Anyway, I write in Bengali, as Arvina has already pointed out, but I'll be reading today in English from my book, Wound is the Shelter, basically, and I translate usually my own poems. These are all self-translations. The first poem is titled Abundant. Some houses stop growing at lintel. No roof, no windows, no doors. At the end of a village, in the corner of a field, such a house, dusty, stands alone. Its bricks gather black moss. Who owns it? Who stopped its construction midway? One can only know after a thorough investigation. The house, however, does not remember the owner. Some young boys dig up its floor, light fire, and have a feast. Using brick, someone writes on the black moss, Shumon plus Mullika. And on another day, someone crushes the petals of another Mullika in it. The anger of the entire village blooms on its walls as slang. The house, which is complete, has windows and doors, cannot have any feast. No one crushes any mullika in it. No one writes slang on its walls. For all this, you need a house which stops growing at lintel. A house that wants feasts, wants slang to be written on its walls, like inscriptions of the Stone Age, wants Mallika to come gingerly and wait for Shumon. At the end of a village, in the corner of a field, that's why my poem stops growing at lintel. Rajesh ji is here. Yesterday he was talking about changing phone numbers and read a poem about that. I too wrote a poem, of course in Bengali, long back about this, but of course in a different context. And the poem is titled Beggar. Without informing us, sometimes our friends change their numbers. With however much force we press the green button then and dial the old number, it does not ring. Sometimes, however, it rings, and a grave voice tells us wrong number. Sometimes it rings and I hear, hello? I think I am talking to my old friend. I keep talking. 10 seconds elapse, 20 seconds. The line does not get disconnected. Then, after a while, the person who, in a slightly melancholic voice, says, wrong number, is also a beggar of words. Without informing him, his friends too have changed their numbers. This poem is titled Mother. The history of this world is the history of the sorrows of mothers. The pages of history are damp with the blood and tears of mothers. I think of that Negro mother who, after getting raped at night, used to clothe her daughter in a torn frock in the morning. I think of that Jewish mother whose lap was emptied by a German devil. I think of that American mother whose son came back home from the Vietnam War leaning on crutches. I think of the mother of Rohit Vemula too, and it seems that the sad mothers of the world all look alike. Only one looks slightly different. Her hair is gray. When she smiles, one finds 3 teeth missing. Her face full of wrinkles. Even on the day on which her son is terribly insulted, even in the midst of her own unbearable sorrow, those wrinkles radiate such a proud smile of the crops that one understands she is the mother of a poet. This one is titled Toys. A little girl is playing with a Barbie doll. A little boy is playing with a racing car. Watching this, if you think all the toys of the world are made for children, you are wrong. There is no dearth of toys for the adults in this world. Sometimes they are parakeets, sometimes farmers with hats made of leaves. In all the cities of the world, there are innumerable toy shops, both for the children and the adults. But so far as toys are concerned, there is one difference between adults and children. Children take toys as humans, and adults consider humans as toys. This is titled One More Poem About Memory. It is extremely difficult to remember things, a real tough task. The moment we are reminded of with how much difficulty we had to remember a formula of mathematics, we feel unease, we sweat, we wake up from sleep at midnight. To remember the birthdays of our near ones, earlier, we used to mark the dates in the calendar in red. Now, we depend on mobile reminders. No one can count how many times a knot at the end of a sari has saved the Titanic from a storm. We are all grateful to that man also who made that rhyme for remembering the names of the Mughal emperors. It is extremely difficult to remember things, a tough task indeed. The entire world still tries to remember, except an insulted man. He wants to forget. 2 more poems I'll read. This one is A Defeated Man. A defeated man. To his friends, a defeated man is an object of pity. He is apparently alive, but actually dead. This is true, that the blood of a defeated man is cold like the blood of a toad. A defeated man gives an uneasy smile at the obscene jokes about his wife cut by his friends. From those friends, he takes money, rupees 200, rupees 500 as loan, tells them that soon he will repay, but does not. If you see a defeated man on the streets, you will easily understand that he is actually a defeated man, that he has the blood of a toad in his heart, a mountain on his back, and that his modesty is the result of his defeat. Whatever his friends say about a defeated man is absolutely true. Only this is not true, that he is apparently alive but actually dead. A defeated man is never a dead man. A defeated man is a defeated man who believes that he is defeated today but will win tomorrow. This is the last poem that I'll be reading. It's a poem that I wrote 21 years back in 2003. The poem is titled Television. Against a few years, I just noted a few things which were happening at that time. And in this poem, I have also used a few names, proper names, some of which are familiar to you, some probably are not. For instance, I used the names of two of the very famous anchors of the early days of Doordarshan. One is Choitali and the other one is Shashwati. I have also used the name of my wife, which is Shoma, and the name of my daughter, which is Tinni. The other names, I hope, will be clear to you as you listen to this poem. You'll be able to understand those names, of course, who they are. The poem is titled Television. 1986. To see Maradona, we purchased for the first time a Konak black and white large television for our home. The first day the TV came, 15 to 20 neighbors were invited. Milk payas was served along with luchi, all huddling together in a semicircle goggled at Polli Kotha. They all came to know the Shashwati Choitali duo. Pramanik auntie explained, they are two sisters. For quite a long time, all in the neighborhood believed that duo to be two sisters. 1995, Papa and Mama and we two brothers were in Purulia. Every one of our friends had color TV, so for our home was also purchased a color TV, though a portable one. Our home got filled up with color, our frequenting the cinema halls lessened, and shortly, the Shashwati Choitali duo got out of our memory, and we got familiar with Annu Kapoor and Renuka Sahane. The first time when I saw Baywatch, my eyes were glazed blind. But I don't remember the name of that TV company since that was sold off within a short time. 1996, BPL, large color. When purchased for our home, for the first time I began thinking, we are also getting rich men like Saurabh Century, I saw, Anaida's album, films on Star Movies. Mom became an addict, a movie worm of various serials, but dad only of cricket and old films on Zee Cinema of 60s, 70s, the Hindi films with Dhishum Dhushum. 2000, dad passed away. 2003, even today, that self-same BPL set of 1996, 49 channels. Brother says, this model has gone out of fashion now. Do you know how many channels we're deprived of seeing? For the last 7 days, brother, Tinni and Shoma are away. Only myself, mom, and our maid Asha are at home. Returning home midday, I find mom is busy with her needlework, but the TV is on. When you are not watching it, can't you switch it off? Actually, in the empty house, none of you are at home. That is my sole friend. When it's on, I feel someone is near about, talking out to me. At least I am not alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angshuman. Thank you for taking us through this abundance of images and very poignant relations. I'm going to invite our next poet, Anuradha Nalapat. Anuradha writes in Malayalam, but today she's going to be reading us poems in English. I have some beautiful words that Anuradha shared about her poems, which I would like to share with you. The first one's called Tortoise Rising, and as you will see later, it will be paired with an image. And this is about stillness and a quest for stillness. And when you go into that space of stillness that you don't necessarily want to come out. She mentioned this wonderful image of a newborn baby met with the abundance of chaos of this new world. And I'm looking forward to seeing from this very new perspective, I guess. The next one is called The Toy Maker She Saw. Here, she traces the process of creation in 6 phases. And in each of the initial phases, the creator as such is going to accompany us with this power of creation. But towards the end, he is also going to be absent, because does creation necessarily come from this human? So let's hear more from Anuradha and also enjoy the wonderful visuals. Thank you.
Rising. And now. And now. Rising beneath my closed eyes. My hexagonal armor of steel. A slow rising from a void. On muscular joints, the tortoise. Lost. Inebriating, involuntary music looping through arteries and veins. My hard shell shudders at the distinct cry of a new world. Quite unlike the visceral monkey hoot or the bull's bellow, the twitter of birds, a short whistle, a hurried trill, a gurgle. Here tires screech, scream, horns blare in automated unrest, while I rub my eyes and rise on arterial armor, still submerged in involuntary rhythms. While I rub my eyes and rise on arterial armor, still submerged in involuntary rhythms. A bit heavy, this new kingdom erupting from my scales. I believe it's called man. The one with roving eyes, but blind, choosy, and choicelessly hungry. His ragged breath nipping at my slow ones. But my quiver of sorts has long coalesced into my shell, and my tremble, it's not by me anymore. There's a pelting of words and memory chips, but floating weightless around me. Some mood tapes still calling out amidst the parting of dead bark, while the nourishing humus of acceptance alights, embalms. I rise, tall, filling the skies, my heart unsheathed. And they hurl past my limbs and my toenails, the pesky wasps, the drones, the missile attacks. This slow kingdom of mine is ours to savor, to claim. This slow breath of mine curling into yours, into a tendril, an eyelash, a sparrow's claw, a thin moon roaming the skies. And yet, nothing here but the curve. And yet, nothing here but the curve. The unalloyed, joyous curve of a half-shut eyelid. Nothing but a slant, a head slant, as I breathe you in, borrow you out. Nothing but a wince in my eye, a contraction, a stretch, a simply stiff, accusing finger, rendered voiceless, acquitted the 42nd time. Rendered voiceless, acquitted the 42nd time. Nothing to qualify or disqualify, no decorative push, just a scoopful of me, neither honey nor poison, just us, as is, naked and at liberty. No, nothing else here but the unalloyed, joyous curve. But yes, in between the waxing and the waning of our choiceless hungers, I pretend to search for myself with you in tow, rasping at a knotty cloud in displaced anger, tripping on a jagged piece of light in feigned astonishment, and savoring slow an eagle's long trill. And what fun we renew our wedlock in peacock feathers, running into a sacred syllable, a holy cross, a chant, while all along and far down, down below, between my toes and my nails the missiles fly, the drones, the wasps, the flies, while you and me, we roam forever in our wedding trousseau, while you and me, we roam forever in our wedding trousseau. So the next one is, like she mentioned, it's about creation over a period of 5-6 times, or 5-6 days, or 5-6 whatever. It's just a period. The toy maker, she saw. The toy maker, she wrapped herself around in mirrors. She buffed and wedged them into muscle and bone. And she looked, and she saw. She was within in scorching grouse, and without in guileless laughter. On the second day, she heard the lub and the dub of seed and bead, and the tinkle of bangle chips, the bubbling of desire in the milky udders of the sea, wailing against the still mountain's chest. Then at sundown, and wrapped in blind neon lights of look, who's mightier, who's smarter, better and bitter, the sparkle of a need in lonely groups in supper soups, a bouquet of seed and weed, a bouquet of seed and weed, and the geometry of a bond clicks aflame. On the third day, she sat still. And she sighed, and she sighed. And then she smiled the blue skies into being, and the alphabets of a vision, but of rushing in cars in glossy masks and towering twin towers and rites, of temple bells of hope, of camphor, and the smell of burnt wicks of memory. On the fourth day, a witch's broom in hand, and riding the wind, she shook them around, seed and weed, trials and tribulations, fairies and candy floss. In her mirror wrap, in her muscle and bone. And she peered, and she saw the geometry aflame in her of brambles and bruises, of words and thickets of people like wildfire. And then in her, the stoic resignation of charred woods, waiting in line for the ashes to recover. And the quiet presence of fresh green sprouts, like obedient little children in school uniforms, working in cohesive allegiance for impatience to sprout, for patience to blossom. On the fifth day, she tucked in some cheese and pineapple, savored some delightful thoughts, squirted upon herself some quiet tendril curls, some flowers, and painted some parrots for her cherry tree. And she drew out for herself a considerate man, and she blew in some words like gliding birds, and blew out those words sucking like leeches. And she looked and she looked and she heard the lub and the dub of man, woman, and child, so bound in sorrow and found in marrow tales, in the rhapsodies of tolling bells and petals, made of mineral, made of alloy, made of the stuff of foxtails on dog fur, of cat claws, calls, and their dispassionate swagger, made of the stuff of foxtails on dog fur, of cat calls, claws, and their dispassionate swagger. And on the 6th day, the final day, the toy maker she saw, a kaleidoscope so ravishing in its holographic gown. In a naughty spree, in a calculated breeze, and witch's broom in hand, she looked and whipped into being. Her calico cat sleeping still on a tree, on her chest, and she loved it, and she named it, and he loved it, and they loved it. And yet the toy maker she saw, not a trace of her face in her shroud, not the shadow of a name, a blame, a game, not here nor there, nor anywhere.
Magical pace and rhythm, I think we all enjoyed every breath of it. Next, I'm going to invite myself. I am Avrina Prabala Jocelyn. For a long time, I've been writing mostly in English, and in the last 2 years, I've been writing in Tamil as well. I will be sharing a Tamil poem and an English poem with you today. This is, they will be showing you a translation that was written by me, though I write in both the languages. I'm not a translator, so please bear with me on that, and hope you can just enjoy the musicality of the language. உனக்கு தெரியும் என்னை பற்றி தெரியுமா? உனக்கு தெரியும் என்னை பற்றி நான் பிறந்து வளர்ந்தது விழுப்புரம் என்னும் சந்திப்பு. என் பெற்றோர் எனக்கு பச்சை என்று பெயரிட்டனர். ஒரு பட்டாம்பூச்சியும் ஒரு கம்பளி பூச்சியும் அருவிகள் இரண்டு கலப்பது போல் அதிவிரைவில் நட்ட நடு ராத்திரியில் கூச்சமில்லா குறும்புடன் நிலவின் அடியில் தங்கள் கடந்த காலங்களை நிகழுடனும் எதிருடனும் சிக்கி கோத்து சிக்கு எடுக்காம பின்னிய பல தலை பாம்பின் கதையோடு வசீகரம் வாசித்தபடி என் பச்சை கண்ணில் தற்செயலாக விழுந்தன. இது தெரியாதா உனக்கு? ஆமாம், இப்படிதான் நடந்தது. பொழுதும் விடிந்தது. உனக்கு தெரியும் என்னை பற்றி. இந்த பச்சை பிள்ளைக்கு குட்டிச்சுவர் என்றால் அந்தே மகிழ்ச்சி. எட்டி பார்ப்பதில் ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சி, உன்னை தேடுவதில் ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சி, உன்னை அரவணைக்கும் பொழுதில் தாமதித்து உன் மனதை உன் தோளில் மணப்பதில் ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சி, உன்னை ரசிப்பதில் ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சி, ருசிப்பதில் ஒரு. உனக்கு தெரியும் என்னை பற்றி. பச்சைக்கரடி ஒன்று தினம் தினம் வந்து கனவுல முத்தம் கொடுக்குது. கண்ணை திறந்து பார்த்தா ஆலமரமா மாறி அமைதியா நிக்குது. என்ன தெரியும் உனக்கு? உன்னை தெரியுமா? ஒரு ஆட்டின் தலையில் காகம், இருவரும் ஒரே கருப்பு. ஆட்டின் நாக்கு நீண்டு ஊர் சுற்றும் போதோ வாயில் உமிழ்நீர் சாறு நீர்வீழ்ச்சி போல் நல்மண்ணில் சொட்டும் போதோ காகத்தின் கால்கள் சீர்குலைந்து போகுமோ? இல்லை இல்லை, காக்காவுக்கு தெரியும் எனக்கு விசித்திரம் என்ன உயிருன்னு. என்
கைத்தாளத்துக்கு ஆடு கரகம் ஆட, ஆட்டின் தாளத்துக்கு காகம் பரதம் ஆடுச்சு. ஆமா ஆமா, இதெல்லாம் பார்த்துருக்கு இந்த பச்சை கண்ணு. உண்மைய சொன்னா நம்புவியா நீ? ஆடி மாசத்துல சொல்லாம ஒரு நாள் மழை கொட்டுன்னு கொட்டுச்சே. அன்னைக்கு சாயங்காலம் மழையின் பச்சை வாடை சிவப்பு மண்ணுல பூத்த போது நடந்த கூத்து தான் இது. சரி சரி, உனக்கு தெரியும் என்ன பற்றி, எனக்கு உன்னை பத்தி தெரியுமா? கதைக்கும் வேருக்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்? மரமும் ஒரு கதைதான், அதன் பழமும் ஒரு கதைதான். கதைக்கு விதை இந்த குரலோ, கதைக்கு வார்த்தை இந்த உதடோ, கதைக்கு பாதை நாமோ, அல்ல நமக்கு பாதை கதையோ? கதைக்கு விதை இந்த குரலோ, கதைக்கு வார்த்தை இந்த உதடோ, கதைக்கு பாதை நாமோ, அல்ல நமக்கு பாதை கதையோ? ஒரு கதை சொல்லுவியா உன்னை பத்தி? Don't worry, your thoughts won't be. Don't worry, your thoughts be all right tomorrow. A line you can walk without fright tomorrow. A plane of perfect balance you won't slip tomorrow. Panic, agony, there's no flight tomorrow. Your voices won't furrow into streams of fight tomorrow. Lake Placid, nothing will tremble to ripple tomorrow. The monsters in these depths will sleep forever tomorrow. Your words won't speak these chants tomorrow. Your ears won't whisper in lieu of your mouth tomorrow. Your heart will be a drum without thrum tomorrow. You will breathe like there's more tomorrows tomorrow. There's a path in front of you and nothing else matters tomorrow. You'll be so cool and fresh and a child of many miracles tomorrow. So tender, your nose is not broken tomorrow. There won't be blood in your mouth tomorrow. Don't worry, you won't drive down narrow roads, never stopping for food or sleep tomorrow. You will eat your fill, drink your cup, break bread with sleeping monsters who are friends tomorrow. You made your peace with the world tomorrow. You will stop looking tomorrow. You won't shh your heads tomorrow. Not beg for mercy, don't speak inside me tomorrow. You won't fear the straight line that's been chasing you all this while tomorrow. Don't worry, all these thoughts, they won't be tomorrow. You will be your own line tomorrow. Don't worry, you won't die tomorrow. All that is meant to die for you to live will die tomorrow. You will live tomorrow. Oh, live so well tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we have Sunanda Mehta. The one thing I'm really looking forward to is that Sunanda is going to be reading from her great-grandfather's poems. You're going to offer some translations as well, right? She writes and she will be reading in Punjabi as well. I have two titles here to share with you, which I think the titles themselves tell a story of their own. One is called No One Cries for Anyone. This ends with a wonderful line which throws light on this title in a different way. And the second was called I Can Smell a Human. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So I have done translations of my great-grandfather's poems, which are almost 100 years old. He used to, he was known to be a master of satire. At least I know now where I get my sarcasm from. And he wrote a lot of against a lot of social evils also, against religious bigotry, against casteism, against godmen. And I'll try and refrain here to more of the ones he dealt with human relations. So I'll read the first one in Punjabi. There should be hopefully a translation here, or else I will just also say. This is a poem about a woman who goes to the jailer whose husband has been jailed for a crime and pleads for his release for just one day. ਕਿਸੇ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੋਂਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਰੋਂਦੀ ਤੋਂਦੀ ਜੇਲਰ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਈ ਤਰਸ ਯੋਗ ਦੁੱਖ ਭਰੀ ਨਿਮਾਨੀ ਸੋਗਨ ਸ਼ਕਲ ਬਣਾਈ ਬੋਲੀ ਇਹ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਕੈਦ ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੌਂਡ ਮੇਰਾ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਝੋ ਟੱਬਰ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਦੁੱਖਾਂ ਪਾਇਆ ਕੇਰਾ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਖਾਤਰ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਵਿਲਕਨ ਤੱਪਨ ਰੋਵਨ ਦਿਨੇ ਰਾਤ ਇਹ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਹੰਝੂ ਹਾਰ ਪੁਰੋਵਨ ਅੱਗ ਨਾ ਬਲਦੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਚੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ ਕੜੇ ਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਹਰਾਮ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰੋਟੀ ਖਾਣੀ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਜੇਕਰ ਭੇਜੋ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਕਮ ਹੈ ਨੇਕੀ ਵਾਲਾ ਕਈ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਇਕਬਾਲ ਆਪਦਾ ਕਰਸੀ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਤਰਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਜੇਲਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਇਆ ਕਹਿਣ लगा सुन माई तेरी कष्ट कहानी ने है बड़ी खुदकुती लाई तेरा पति प्यार वेख के दिल पसीजिया मेरा मेरे वस होवे ता छड्डा हुने स्वामी तेरा उसने बड़ा जुर्म है किता बोरी कनक चुराई कैद तदे है उसनू छड़ना मेरे वस ना माई पर तू लिया उसते बच्चे ते संबंधी प्यारे मुलाकात करवासा रज के खुश हो जावें सारे. So basically he's saying that I cannot release your husband because he stole a big sack of grain. It's a grave crime. But you get all his children, his family who is they are deep in sorrow, and I will let them meet him to their heart's content. So at this the woman says, Matha vitke boli, oho, ਲੋੜ ਨਾ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਓਕੀ ਬੋਰੀ ਜੋਸੀ ਉਸ ਚੁਰਾਈ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਕਲ ਦੀ ਮੁੱਕੀ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਜੇ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਵੇ ਬੋਰੀ ਹੋਰ ਚੁਰਾ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਜਾਵੇ. So the woman says, the woman brows furrowed, oh, there is no need for all this grand display. The thing is, the sack of grain he had stolen got over yesterday. I just want that if you could grant him leave for one whole day, he could steal another sack and give it to us without delay. Jailer roya, Sutra hasya. Sutra was his pen name. Jailer roya, Sutra hasya, wawa tera hona, kise le nahi ronda koi, sabnu apna rona. The jailer wept, Sutra laughed, so much for all those tears fake. No one cries for anyone. All have their own interests at stake. So another specialty he had was that he had a little twist at the end of the poems. I mean, a little lesson, a life lesson most of the time. So this is the other one called I Can Smell a Human. One of our neighbors, whenever he stepped inside his house, I can smell a human, I can smell a human, he would snort and shout. Like a monster, he would snarl and glower at everyone in sight. His acidic tongue and clenched teeth would make the family's hearts shiver in fright. He would start his abusing, threatening, scolding from early morn. Like burning coal, he would simmer, smolder and crackle on. Seeing his face, the children would tremble and hide from sight. As soon as he left the house, they would heave a sigh of relief and delight. One day, his poor wife sat tutoring their small son, along with ABCs, also imparting lessons on being a good human. Son, C also stands for charity, and it's good to earn blessings through the act. As far as possible, one should reach out, especially to those who are orphans, in fact. Like your son, like your friend Lalu, who is an orphan, poor thing. His father has died, and he has no one to support him. Who will give him love and play games with him? Who will give him money with which he could buy something? It's your duty, my son, to be sympathetic towards his condition and share your own pocket money with him on some occasion. Son replied, Mother, to earn blessings, why not go all the way ahead? Let's give father to him and become orphans ourselves instead. Our life will be freed from daily abuses, scoldings, and troubles. And Lalu won't be an orphan anymore. Happiness automatically doubles. When I heard this, I grinned and teased the father about his ways insane. Your son taught you the correct lesson, Sutra says, for being such a pain. Is it time for one more? Okay, so there's time for one more, so I'll say another not so long one. It's called The Beggar King. Shah Sikandar was riding proudly on an elephant, front and back, left and right, displaying his army's prowess and strength. His bone-thin subjects shivered with fear instilled in their hearts. They bowed their heads, scared as though some monster had passed. In a way, a beggar sat, neither moving nor seemingly afraid. This gave an opportunity to the king to show his power and feel great. He said, "Oh, you beggar, what is it with you? What's wrong? Are you blind? Can you not see my royal entourage so strong?" The beggar did not answer, but asked a question instead. "Of how many kingdoms are you the ruler of, my dear friend?" Swelling with arrogance, Sikandar said, 7 kingdoms are in my name. From rivers to plains, all are within the boundaries of my domain. With a majestic attitude, the beggar said, "Tell the truth, don't joke now. Will you be able to manage 7 more kingdoms if I gave them to you somehow?" The king's mouth started watering, and he climbed down from the elephant, knelt in front of the fakir with folded hands, and his head he bent. "Oh, fakir, please do bestow right now 5 more kingdoms to me. I will remain your servant and follow your orders and instructions faithfully." Chiding him, the fakir laughed. "Oh, beggar, go away. I don't wish to give you any alms. Why are you clinging to me this way?" The king was deeply ashamed. Sutra laughed aloud. The real beggar is one who is trapped in greed, no doubt. Thank you.
Life lessons told in such a beautiful narrative way. The narrative and the poetry is to enjoy. Thank you. Next, I would welcome Swami Antar Nirav. We had a wonderful conversation today, and he just told me, I bring the poetry, and the poetry speaks for itself. He writes and he will read in Punjabi and Hindi.
Then I'll translate in Hindi. Then I'll carry from Punjabi to Hindi. मेरे इलाके दे लोग मंदिर नहीं जांदे, गुरुद्वारे नहीं जांदे, भूख रख के खांदे, कदे बीमार नहीं होंदे। मेरे इलाके दे लोग मंदिर नहीं जांदे, गुरुद्वारे नहीं जांदे, भूख रख के खांदे, कदे बीमार नहीं होंदे। डॉक्टर कोल नहीं जांदे, अस्पताल नहीं जांदे, दवाई लैन नहीं जांदे, मरन वेले मर जांदे। तोप दा मुकाबला तलवार नाल करदे, तलवार दा सोटी नाल ਸੋਟੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਾ ਨਿਹੱਥੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਦਾ ਮੁਕਾਬਲਾ ਚੁੱਪ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਚੁੱਪ ਅੱਗੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹਾਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ। ਚੁੱਪ ਅੱਗੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹਾਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ मेरे इलाके के लोग। तो इन हिंदी, मेरे इलाके के लोग मंदिर नहीं जाते, गुरुद्वारे नहीं जाते, भगवान पे भरोसा रखते हैं, भूख से कम खाते हैं, कभी बीमार नहीं होते, डॉक्टर के पास नहीं जाते, अस्पताल नहीं जाते, दवाई लेने नहीं जाते, मरते समय मर जाते हैं। तोप का मुकाबला तलवार से करते हैं, तलवार वाले तोप का मुकाबला तलवार से करते हैं, तलवार का छड़ी के साथ, छड़ी वाले का निहत्थे बंदे का मुकाबला चुप के साथ करते हैं, और चुप के आगे हमेशा हारते रहे हैं मेरे इलाके के लोग, और चुप के आगे हमेशा हारते रहे हैं मेरे इलाके के लोग। लल देद सेंट पोइट ऑफ कश्मीर। 2 words I have in this poem. Kung is saffron, kesar, and Noshin. Noshin means first snowfall of the season. So, let's go. Lal ded. उस पगली ने, इसके 4 हिस्से हैं। फर्स्ट, एक, उस पगली ने डल को पी लिया है। उस पगली ने डल को पी लिया है, देखते देखते अपने दूध से खाली झील को फिर भर दिया है। उस पगली ने डल को पी लिया है, देखते देखते अपने दूध से खाली झील को फिर भर दिया है। 2, उसने पेड़ से सेब तोड़े हैं। उसने पेड़ से सेब तोड़े हैं, अपने दूध से दोए हैं, फिर टहनी संग जोड़े हैं। 3, उसने नीला फूल छाती के साथ लगाया, दूध पिलाया, कुंग बनाया। 4, उसकी छातियां छलक उठी हैं। उसकी छातियां छलक उठी हैं। नौशीन मुबारक, नौशीन मुबारक। उसने कहा घर को कविता से ज्यादा फूल पौधों की जरूरत है। उसने कहा घर को कविता से ज्यादा फूल पौधों की जरूरत है। मैं फूल बोऊंगी, मेरी मानो तुम भी फूल ही बोना। उसने कहा घर को कविता से ज्यादा फूल पौधों की जरूरत है। मैं फूल बोऊंगी, मेरी मानो तुम भी फूल ही बोना। कविता अपने आप उगावेगी, कविता अपने आप उगावेगी। देखते देखते बच्चे ने सिपाही से कहा, मुझे गोली मार के दिखाओ। मैं जम्मू कश्मीर से हूं। बच्चे ने सिपाही से कहा, मुझे गोली मार के दिखाओ। देखते देखते सारे बच्चे सिपाहियों से कहने लगे, हमें गोली मार के दिखाओ। देखते देखते सिपाही हथियार डालने लगे। देखते देखते जंग लगी, देखते देखते जंग खत्म हुई। शांति संदेश। राजधानी का बच्चा पेंसिल की नोक से गोली की नोक बनाने में मगन है। दिल्ली एंड जम्मू। राजधानी का बच्चा पेंसिल की नोक से गोली की नोक बनाने में मगन है। उसने शांति संदेश मुकाबले में हिस्सा लेना है, फर्स्ट आना है। राजधानी का बच्चा पेंसिल की नोक से गोली की नोक बनाने में मगन है। उसने शांति संदेश मुकाबले में हिस्सा लेना है, फर्स्ट आना है। भेड़ों के साथ गए नूर के माथे में आ लगी थी, उस पार से चली गोली। भेड़ों के साथ गए नूर के माथे में आ लगी थी, उस पार से चली गोली। उस दिन आखिरी रोजा था। मक्की छीलते पिता को चाय देने गई थी लड़की। कहते हैं क्रॉस फायरिंग में मरी है। यहां का बच्चा कोरी ही लौटा आया है, शांति संदेश मुकाबले वाली शीट। यहां का बच्चा कोरी ही लौटा आया है, शांति संदेश मुकाबले वाली शीट। जब थोड़ी मेरी मेरी मिट्टी के हवाले से ही है, फिर 2-3 जगह लूंगा। जब मैं उदास होती हूं, चिड़ियों की ओर ध्यान धरती हूं। जब मैं उदास होती हूं, चिड़ियों की ओर ध्यान धरती हूं, छत पे दाना पानी रख उनके आने का इंतजार करती हूं। जब वह उदास होता है, बंदूक उठाकर निकल जाता है, संध्या को वह खुश होता है, मैं और उदास, मैं और उदास। खेल बच्चों के लिए। लड़ते बांट लेते हैं एक कमरा आधा आधा। लड़ते बांट लेते हैं एक कमरा आधा आधा। कमरे में पड़ी एक चारपाई भी कर लेते हैं आधी आधी। बीच में से अलमारी के खाने भी, खाना खाते समय लकीर खींच थाली भी बांट लेते हैं आधी आधी। वह मुल्क मुल्क खेलते हैं, वह मुल्क मुल्क खेलते हैं। मेरी माँ, हमने बहुत से कच्चे घर देखे हैं, बहुत से लोगों ने देखे होंगे। बादल उमड़ रहे हैं, सूरज छिप गया है, धूप का गला घोंट बरसात आएगी, मेरी झोंपड़ी डूब जाएगी। बादल उमड़ रहे हैं, सूरज छिप गया है, धूप का गला घोंट बरसात आएगी, मेरी झोंपड़ी डूब जाएगी, मेरी माँ जागेगी। टपकती छत के नीचे बूंदों को इकट्ठा करने बाल्टियां, पतीले, कटोरियां, बड़ी कटोरियां, गिलास सबकी बिसात बिछाएगी। टपकती छत को मात देगी, टपकती छत से मात खाएगी। लास्ट कतबा, एपिटैफ, टॉमस्टोन, कब्रपट्टी। कतबा, मैं कतबा इस कब्र पर, मैं कतबा इस कब्र पर इसके मरने के संग जन्मा था। मुझ पर देखो, पढ़ो, ये जन्मा मरा कब है। मैं कतबा इस कब्र पर इसके मरने के संग जन्मा था। मुझ पर देखो, पढ़ो, ये जन्मा मरा कब है। शोक मनाओ इसके मरने का, जश्न मनाओ अपने जीने का, अफसोस मनाओ अपने मरने का, अपना कतबा गढ़ने का। मुझको देख एहसास करो अपना कतबा पढ़ने का। सदियों से मैं यहां खड़ा हूं, मुझको देख एहसास करो अपना कतबा पढ़ने का। सदियों से मैं यहाँ खड़ा हूँ, कई लोगों को आते देखा, कई लोगों को जाते देखा, अब तो बूढ़ा कतबा हूँ मैं। सदियों से मैं यहाँ खड़ा हूँ, कई लोगों को आते देखा, कई लोगों को जाते देखा, अब तो बूढ़ा कतबा हूँ मैं। मेरे आगे पीछे के तो सब कतबे जवान खड़े हैं, उनको पढ़ना कितना आसान, मुझको पढ़ना कितना मुश्किल। अब तो बूढ़ा कतबा हूं मैं, मेरे आगे पीछे के तो सब कतबे जवान खड़े हैं, उनको पढ़ना कितना आसान, मुझको पढ़ना कितना मुश्किल। मैं तो हूं अब मरने वाला, मैं भी एक दिन मर जाऊंगा। तुम मेरे कतबे पर लिखना, बूढ़े कतबे मर जाते हैं। तुम मेरे कतबे पर लिखना, बूढ़े कतबे मर जाते हैं। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Swami Antarnirav, as a person who does not speak these languages, I received it entirely with my body, and the gestures carried so much the rhythm as well. This brings us to the end, and I hope these various languages, also the ones that were read in English, brought to you a very different soundscape and musicality, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being present with us. Thank you to the poets as well. Thank you.
Lucky are we to be living in a country where we can appreciate so many beautiful languages through poetry. Thank you so much for that session.